ready? Are we recording or no?
You are good to go.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Hi, I'm Greg Morris. I'm the chair of the Chelsea Land Use Committee. Thank you everyone for all your help in setting up. Everyone had a hand in setting up today, and that is very, very much appreciated. We have an agenda that includes a number of moving parts, including some special guests who will join us in 1 second. As a reminder, this is public, this is recorded. We do everything we can. Oh, and of course, you have to either be present or be online with an excuse. Otherwise, you won't count in this particular space. And so that's how we do the voting piece. You know this already. It is the February board meeting, Chelsea Land Use meeting, and it's exciting to be here with all of you. Let's jump into the agenda because we're already running late because of the tech challenge. And I will give a shout out to Jesse when I see him for all his hard work to make sure our tech is up and working, because that was a disaster. There's lots of snacks on the table to enjoy yourselves. Now, actually, before we start, I do want to say one thing. Paul, we do have an update that we have not gotten to get to. I think it's in the Dropbox, but it came very late. You want to say a word or two, not getting into the details, but am I correct in saying the board letter, there is a board letter, this is item number 3, that there is a new draft of the letter, is that correct?
That is correct. Do you want me to say more?
When we get there.
I concur.
Yeah.
Teasing the issue there.
Teasing that. When we get there, I think we'll try to show that on screen.
Yeah, because this letter that originated from this committee went to executive committee then sent it to land use committee, hosted in land use, had a very robust conversation about this. The draft that started here has been worked over. Is that a good phrase? From the Hell's Kitchen commentary. And that letter was just put into Dropbox this evening, so we apologize that it was so late, but it's there.
So none of us have seen it.
Yeah, so what we'll do is.
Unless you logged into Dropbox.
Unless you logged in the last, yeah, literally.
I just did
I did
myself.
my best.
I literally just did it myself. David and I were just sitting here and I could see both of us were reading at the same time. So
Yeah, so literally just received. So we'll pull it up on screen
we'll go through.
and we'll go through it that way so we can all have a hand in this. Now, before we start, I just want to say the last time we got together, for those of you who were in the room, those of you who couldn't make it, I just wanted you to be aware. I put out a message earlier today, just reminding people what we accomplished at the last meeting. There were 2 or 3 things we did. One was to talk about how it is, both from the perspective of as committee members, what we need to be able to have meaningful conversations continuing to go forward, and what are the projects that we would want to have our hands around. As by virtue of that, we talked about having a project tracker so we could sort of check the progress of the things we talk about here over the course of time. So I just want to highlight that for everybody. We identified a number of projects as well, local, state, and federal ones that this committee has either had a hand in or is going to have to think about going forward. So you can expect at our next meeting or in advance of the next meeting, we'll have that project tracker. Let that tracker up, we can start to take a look at it and react and respond to that. And that's the way that will continue to track our work going forward. So we can not just have robust, meaningful conversations in the room, but we also know the progress that we're making after that. Okay? Just want to make sure everybody knew that part before we dug in today. And on that note, here's the way we want to do this, unless there's an objection in the room. Let's do your presentation up first, and then we'll do and then I'm going to ask that we do our public testimony section. Okay? If there's no objection.
Is it too much to ask to see if you have the deck available? If not, it's okay.
The deck is available. Nelly, we need the deck.
Yes, I will pull it up now.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna ask that when you wanna do the slide change, if you just communicate it, Nelly will change it.
Sure, okay, great. And where is the best place for me to stand, both for the folks?
How well are you able to hear from there? Do you want him to come up?
I can speak as loudly as you like. It's more about the folks who are.
We're checking the volume. It's best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the owl. The owl should be following you around. And we'll see if that actually holds true in a second. But I wanna make sure everybody in the room can hear okay. Doesn't Jesse, I feel like Jesse goes like this, and the owl when it follows him, but. We're gonna have a little owl issues. Oh, actually, maybe, hold on.
And are you guys okay with me standing here? I'm actually like over your shoulder.
James, if you're gonna stand over there, you're gonna have to project.
Won't be a problem at all.
What?
At the moment, we're just setting up, so I'm not.
Let's
gonna
go,
fully-
let's go.
We're ready to go?
It's actually better if you don't stand behind anybody.
You tell me.
Come over to, why don't you come over to the front side?
Great.
Brian, he's gonna be by your side, is that okay? Put him right over there, is that all right?
I wanna be clear, I am thrilled to be your guest, so anywhere you need me, whatever you need me to do. Faster, slower, louder, softer, I have no preferences, I'm here to bring whatever's best for you. So good evening, everyone, thank you for having me, I'm Joshua Goodman, Deputy Commissioner at the Department of Sanitation. Here to discuss updates on the 128 West 17th Street project. Depending on how long you have been a member of this committee or of Community Board 4 in general, some of what we're going over tonight may be familiar to you. I apologize, I know there are people who don't know anything about this project, so I'm going to recap a few things you already know. And there is some new material tonight as well. Now you can go ahead to the first slide, please. The first few we'll get through relatively quickly. This is the location, it's on West 17th Street. Next slide, please. Just a little bit of the history. We are in the process of restoring this building. What is 128 West 17th Street? Built in the mid-1850s, this building was known as Covered School Number 4 for much of the late 19th century, and then Grammar School Number 81. It is the last surviving remnant of Manhattan's segregated school system. As far as we know, although to be honest, the history of this building was unknown for a long time, so new discoveries are always possible. As far as we know, this is the only remaining building that serves as a segregated schoolhouse for students of color in the 19th century. In 1898, it became a headquarters for a group of veterans who were basically a group that would now be considered part of the National Guard. In the 1930s, DSNY took possession of the building without any knowledge of its history. It was just a building in Chelsea. We renovated it at that time and used it as basically an office, what we call a section house. You may sometimes hear the building described in our internal documents as the M4 section house. A section house is basically like, we divide the city into the 59 community districts. That's how we operate. Sometimes there is not space for a full garage within the district. The garage might be somewhere else. You all know the garage for this district is up on 57th Street. So we have section houses, places where people can stop and have lunch or do some paperwork or use the restroom without having to go all the way back to the garage during their shift. We still have them. Obviously, this one has not been used for any use. We stopped using the facility sometime in the early 2010s as it became, you'll see the condition a little bit later, this became unsafe for sanitation workers to use. Its history was brought to our attention by the historian Eric Washington, who many of you know, in 2020 into 2021. DSNY was supportive of the effort to landmark it. Again, learning about this history was a complete surprise. We have no knowledge of this, no direct connection to its history as a schoolhouse, but we were supportive of the landmarking, of course. The building was landmarked in May of 2023. We'll talk more about what that means. Though, as of course, this group of policy experts know, landmarking only covers the facade legally, but obviously imparts additional status to the building. And we are in the process of this is a piece of new information for many of you. Subcontracting a requested archaeological survey. I'll talk a bit about that now and a bit about it later. We'll go to the next slide, actually, please. So this is a little bit of the building as it may have existed. This is an old document, and I believe this is the only schematic in here, so there might be one more, but this is a good opportunity to talk about what is going on with this archaeological survey. As I mentioned, this was brought to our attention by Eric Washington, who's the world's leading expert on this site and also on the school system that it represents. He also brought to our attention recently, after the completion of the landmarking process, new evidence that in addition to being a schoolhouse, there was a residential unit in this building for much of the late 19th century for the janitor, his wife, and his children. This is the McCrea Pritchard family. In fact, one of his daughters even grew up to be a teacher at the same school. He has identified, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, up to 5 sites that may have been within the building, that may have been their living quarters. And before, we'll go to the next slide, please, Alan. Before renovation continues in earnest and risks destroying anything of value, we are going to engage in a subcontracted archaeological survey to recover materials that may have belonged to that family. And learn potentially a lot about African-American life in the city in the late 19th century. just a little info about how the building has changed over time. This is relevant because it is very tempting to talk about restoring the building to a specific state. And it is important to note that based on Mr. Washington's research and on our research as well, so Dr. Washington's research and ours as well, that then invites the question, well, which state do you want it restored to? Because it had many uses, many changes over the years, and obviously everybody can look at this in more detail later, but basically it was built and staircase was moved and there were different, there's a bulkhead that you'll see on a later slide, it's not original. We'll go to the next slide, please. The existing exterior is in bad shape, as is the interior. The masonry is very badly damaged and we have basically completed replacements, and I talk a little more about this later, of the damaged masonry with landmarks appropriate matching and landmarks commission approved masonry that matches the original. The wood frames of the windows present a more substantial challenge. We go to, I believe, just the very next slide about what we're doing there. And next slide, please, Helen. So the wood joist you can see here, the roof was taking on water every time it rained for probably close to 10 years. That has now been sealed. The roof has been stabilized. It was the first thing that we did after this process began. There is no additional damage being taken inside the building. But the water damage is extensive and severe. I've been inside and there are sections of the top floor that are not safe to step on because of water damage to the floor coming through the ceiling. The wood joists are in bad shape. And if we go to the next slide, please. That also affects the window frames, which obviously have a facade and therefore landmark component. So the brick replacement has already been done. The windows and doors, if this building is intended for public use, which we'll talk more about and I assume is everyone's goal, the windows will never pass fire code in their current condition. Even if the wood were not damaged, a wooden window frame is not appropriate or safe for a public use building, right? We need a 45-minute fire rating from the NYC building code, which means they have to be steel. We do have a plan to color match the steel to the wood so that from the street it will look substantially similar. And we also have a plan to preserve some of the damaged wooden window frames so that they can be exhibited in the future. They are in very poor shape, and if not handled with care, they will fall apart during the installation process. That's something we're very aware of, and we tend to preserve them, at least as many of them as may be possible. The stair bulkhead relocation was actually beginning to be underway until the archaeological process was identified. So I mentioned there's a staircase up to the roof. It's not in an original location. It goes through where the schoolhouse restrooms would have been. And when it stopped being a schoolhouse, the staircase was moved up there. We intend, as part of this process, to move it back to its original location, but that's on hold at the moment because of the concern about potentially damaging archaeological. Next slide. Oh, but for what it's worth, when we do move it, you won't be able to see the staircase from the street, which will be how it was. So this is the existing interior. Gives you a good sense of how badly damaged it is. This is also after being swept substantially. Other rooms are full of debris from the ceiling. The intent at this point is to maximize the open space. You can see sort of a mock-up of how we intend to preserve the windows, make it part of, but that would be ultimately not DSO's decision how they are displayed, when we want to have them available for whoever the end user winds up being. And anything else that is discovered through the course of the archaeological survey also will be similarly preserved. That is part of the archaeological team's contract, is to preserve important matters. Next slide, please. So I just mentioned this already. We've done the roof and the floor plan will end up as an open space. Next slide, please. This shows just some of the work that we will have to do to move that staircase. And again, everyone will be able to look at this in more detail later. Next slide, please. So it shows how once we move that staircase, it will no longer be visible from the street. You actually probably couldn't see it right now because it's scaffolding anyway. But before the scaffolding went up, it was visible from the street, which is not its case. Next slide, please. So just the next steps. At the request of Friends of Former Colored School number 4, as I mentioned, we are engaged in an archaeological survey. And I'll just give you a little more info now at this point about where we are at in that process. I believe this is the last slide. There was a draft work plan from J&J, it's an archaeological firm based in the city, who are gonna be subcontracting to us. And we sent that around to Eric, to Anna, some of you know, and to the entire Friends of College School Before group, also Jesse and the council member's office, or Aves council member Roger's office, but the council member's office are all moved in on this process as well. That group did provide feedback at the end of the year. They said, we also want you to add several more things to the archaeological plan that made them more comfortable with that work proceeding and feeling like, you know, again, we're gonna be subcontracting the work, but we're not proceeding with anything until the community group that is under charge on this signs off on the plan. So we got the revised work plan late last week. It was sent to them this morning following the holiday. And I've set a deadline, it was loose deadline, just trying to keep things moving. Hey, give us your next round of feedback at the end of this month. If they say this looks great, the archaeological work will begin. In the meantime, the immediate urgent work of stabilizing the roof is done. So, you know, obviously we want this to be completed as quickly as possible, but at least no further damage is being taken to the building. And we don't want to begin further work that may destroy valuable and important artifacts. So the archaeological survey, as soon as it's signed off on by Friends of Former College School Number 4, will begin right away. That is fun. The city has money ready to go to pay for the archaeological survey. There are 5 sites that they've identified as potential locations of quarters. If it takes them all 5, you know, if you know, it's always the last place you look, right? If they start doing the archaeological dig and they have to go through all 5, this is maybe a 6-8 month process of archaeology. If they find everything they're looking for, the first one could be a little fast. But obviously the goal is not to rush it, to find everything that might be valuable and of historical significance there before we start doing what has been done to this building before, which is more of its history. And then I know that everyone is interested in end use. I can talk a little bit about that today. A formal process is likely several years away and probably beyond, like who knows which of us will be involved in that conversation. So I can tell you what my intentions are and what I suspect the process will be, and then we can keep the conversation going. Certainly the city has formally committed that community use, that the end use will be a community use, right? This is not repair to sell, it's not convert to condo, it's not any of that stuff, right? It's for community use. But in terms of under what model and who will operate it, that is still up for discussion, especially considering that a number of groups, it could potentially be a group that doesn't exist today. For example, Friends of Former Colored School Number 4 would have to do a handful of incorporating steps to be eligible to be an operator, to apply to be an operator if they were interested, but there is time to do that. I can't speak to whether they will or not. The city currently has a program called CIG, Cultural Institutions Group. This is a program whereby cultural institutions, large museums, small organizations are selected through an RFP process to operate a facility for cultural or historical use within a city building. So this can be anything from for example, I know there's a dance group in East Harlem that is one, would be an example of a small one, all the way up through technically the Met is part of this program. So it can be a large or small organization, sometimes working in concert. So again, I really don't want to get ahead of conversations that are years away, but the goal, and we are interested in facilitating those conversations if it ends up being, for example, a local community group in partnership with a larger organization like the Museum for the City of New York. There are a number of options here. I will make the commitment again, as we have several times, that the end use will be an open and transparent process and that there is a commitment to community use. But beyond that, we still have several years of renovation to go. And part of the reason for that is, again, we intended to, after the roof stabilization, we intended to begin floor by floor repairs almost right away when we were asked to stop by Friends of Former Colored School Number 4 to allow for the archaeological survey. And the worst thing we could do is do this wrong. And so unfortunately, that may mean that the work goes beyond I believe there was an end of 27 deadline when the landmarking first happened, not deadline, goal. That when the landmarking first happened, we said we hope to have it completely renovated by end of 27. Obviously, the discovery of this living quarters is incredible, is fantastic, is a huge piece of news, but it does delay the renovation of the building further. So that's where we're at now. I'm happy to take questions about this project. Also, obviously, as long as I'm here, if anyone has questions about snow, other sanitation items, I'm happy to discuss them.
Okay, keep you here, all right.
Yeah, we'll start with questions in the room, Go ahead.
Did the Friends of Colored, the Colored School, did they make any other requests about this renovation project that your department is not able to fulfill?
Well, I will say that what I discussed about the window frames was the result of a back and forth. Their initial request was preserve these window frames. We explained that there's both a logistic, I mean, they're in terrible shape, and a legal challenge that the building probably can't open for public use without them. And the idea of preserving some while color matching steel was what we came up with together. At the moment, I'm not aware of any request that's been like a flat out no. It's just, there are things we've had to work out together, and we're in very regular contact.
Yeah, okay, great.
Other questions in the room?
Just a quick question about the living accommodation that were discovered. I mean, it wasn't like it was in a tomb and closed off, right?
No.
How was it discovered?
The room doesn't exist anymore, and I guess I should be more clear about that.
Yeah.
It was discovered in records, like documents that said a family lived here were discovered.
Gotcha.
So we don't actually know if anything from their living quarters was left behind. The walls of wherever they lived are long gone. And so the hope is that we will find items in the floor.
Gotcha.
Who's paying for, I have a few questions, but one to start is who's paying for the survey? Is that DSNY?
Yeah, well, the city was, the city allocated $6 million for all renovations in fiscal year, I believe that began in fiscal year 24. And that money is still there, and we're basically running into it. And now that the project is pushing out, at a certain point, we will probably need to allocate additional funds for this to complete the project. It is possible that by that point, we'll know more about end use, and there will be an end use group that's interested in investing partially in it, or a different city agency that's interested in getting involved. So there is money to do it there now, city funds that are there to do it now, and we will see if this is enough to complete the project.
And then who, I know, I totally get why talking about use is not relevant now or not clear now, but can you just describe like the process for determining that?
Sort of. I can describe the process for selecting the process. That's really where we're at.
Great.
At the moment, the building legally belongs to the Department of Sanitation. That would mean that the sanitation commissioner, in consultation with the deputy mayor for operations, the first deputy mayor and the mayor, would have substantial authority to select the process. However, there is no guarantee that that's who will be the decision makers here when this project gets closer to fruition. For example, or I guess to put it in another way, this is the only building like this that DSNY, like, we're not involved in a lot of cultural projects, but I mean, we are, we have an artist in residence, whatever, but I'm just saying, on the capital side, we don't do a lot of cultural projects. Does it make sense at a certain point to transfer the building to another agency? Maybe, that's something that would be done together in conversation, but then it would be that agency making the decision about end use. If it's up to me, it would be an RFP process where, all different organizations are basically invited to apply and show financial stability and to show their plans. And, you know, we would probably come up with a selection and bring that selection to the community board or the councilman at that time, and members, and do it sort of in collaboration. But it's so many years away that it's hard to say for sure who will be in the room at that time.
And why is it so many years away?
We have not started stabilizing the building at all because the archaeological survey hasn't begun, but I mean, the building is in really bad shape. This capital project was gonna take 4 years anyway. And it's like, some of it is done, but a lot of that 4 years of capital work is not done.
And DSNY will maintain its ownership throughout that process? For now?
For now, you know, again, it's unique in that way. If it turns out that another agency is a better shepherd, you know, for example, the Department of Cultural Affairs, who have other similar situations, or the Department of Records and Information Systems, who oversee some parts of the city's historical archive. You know, that would, for the Department of Design and Construction, who really are the lead agency on most capital projects. The decision to keep it with DSNY was made by the Adams administration. We were happy to do it because we were asked to do it. we actually just want it to be done effectively and efficiently, and if it turns out there's a better way to do it, a big difference to the agency to take the lead, that's fine with us, but ultimately not our decision. We're doing this because we were asked to do it.
The question in the room, go ahead, Pamela,
What?
go ahead.
He's on my bad side. I'm curious about this, the work done on the facade, the street facing facade. And how that decision was made to proceed with restoring the existing facade, which is granted in terrible condition.
Yes,
There had been and you brought it up yourself, conversation about choosing a period to which to restore it. How did that decision come about, or has it actually ever been discussed?
on the facade side, there is a specific design that is landmark. That decision was made in 2023 by the Landmarks Preservation Commission. When I said, what era do you choose, I was thinking about the interior. You know, which is not landmark, right? No interiors are landmark. The facade, that sort of light sandstone brick, that is what the LPC designated as landmarked. And we have done some brick replacement. You would not be able to tell which are the new bricks, I believe. I certainly couldn't. We will have to continue to do that. There are other bricks that are nearing end
How
of
much of
life.
that work have you done?
Uh,
I was staring at the building today.
if we went by there today, I would say we've probably replaced. I don't wanna throw out a number and be way off, but I would say we've replaced dozens of bricks, is how I would put it. And there are more that need to be done, probably about the same order of magnitude.
Okay, so when you're replacing the existing wooden window sash with steel
Yes,
windows, will they be multi-pane?
Yeah.
Will they be matching the existing
they'll match the existing,
multi-panes, and will they be true multi-panes, or will it be one piece of glass with a lid on half the pane?
that I'll have to find out, and I don't know if we've made that selection yet. Our whole idea is to comply with the fire code, so that they're eligible for public use in the end. But if there's a multi-pane that complies with the fire code, then great.
So, yeah, I've toured the building a number of times, and each time I've gotten very close to those windows on every floor. It's a little tricky with the ones with air conditioners in them. But my personal, take on the window sash is that it is not in nearly as bad condition as you described. And that those sash can be restored. I got that the fire resistance and all of that. But I think all of the sash that exists now is restorable. I hope that an effort will be made.
Well, I know that's not the position of our engineers, but I will raise it with them again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm spent a lot of years in management and before that in repairing stuff. Very like those windows sash. So my own take on it was that they were really restorable.
Understood.
Good.
Once the archaeological work has been completed and you get to the capital work on the inside, are you gonna be consulting with this Friends of the Code School?
Of
Or
course.
will we also come back to us
Yeah.
as well? Okay, because I guess it just affects what end use the building will have.
Yes, our intention is to be working closely with the community every step of the way,
Great, thank you.
both the community board and outside community.
David,
Yeah, the last time we got a presentation from DSNY, we had kind of a long conversation about floor plan layout and
Right,
replacing the face brick versus replicating the original brick. I just feel like none of that got any traction. The Landmarks Commission, they can approve changes to a landmark, it's what they're in business for. To go to the question about the brick, the face brick, it's not original.
Right.
A lot of it's going to end up being replaced.
Yes.
It seems like if we're gonna put in that effort, why not replace it with brick to match what was originally there?
Well, that's been our intention, is to replace it with brick that matches what's already there.
I'm talking about the brick that was there originally, which would match the backup brick, the inner wides of brick. Because the building predates the time when the face brick would have been a different color, so it would be very easy to match. And, historically, to give someone an impression of what this building was like at the time when it was a colored school, that would be an important thing. It would be a big difference in the appearance of the school. And if we could go to the floor plan, please.
Yeah,
Typical floor plan.
Nelly, can we get to the floor plan?
Okay, give me 1 second.
Thank you very much.
This is the one you're looking for?
Yeah, we had talked before about the way, if we could go back to the floor plan.
Yeah, back the other way now.
Just a couple slides back.
2 slides back. 1, 2, one more. Oh,
There we go.
There we
What's that?
go.
Number 10?
Oh, 10, you had it, 10.
Page done.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, what you're left with, when you take out the stairs and the elevator from the main space, is kind of like a chute. And even the way it relates to the 3 windows across the front, you know, it's very odd, and then you've got these sort of leftover niches. Your plan is for this to be community space, and I would think that you'd want something with sort of a more generic usable shape. It would be nice if that shape, could recall what the proportions of the classroom would have been at the time when this was a colored school. If you imagine a student group being brought in
Right.
to experience the building. And we talked before about doing a scissor stair instead of these 2 independent stairs. What happened to ideas like those?
Well, nothing happened to them at either direction, right? We have not moved forward on the internal renovation at this time, right? First of all, as you probably know, the interior of the building is quite small. There's actually not a lot of space in it. And that's one of the things that I think is important to keep in mind when talking about end use. I do think, not anyone in this room, but that there are people who have sort of grand ideas about what they'll be able to use this building for. It is quite small. There is no room as large as this one in that building. And so the idea of a lengthwise open space is to maximize what we have. However, with multiple floors, at least 1 classroom is certainly a viable option, and is the sort of thing we have a couple of years left to discuss.
Is there any reason you couldn't do a scissor stair?
Not that I know, other than cost.
So will you be developing the plan further?
Well, I will be going back to our engineering team and asking whether they know about any concerns. Right, I'm trying to answer your question, right? Why are you doing a scissor stair? I don't know, let me get back.
I mean, could we have a further meeting?
Okay, yes, as I mentioned several times, I'll be here as many times as you like.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
also,
mean,
can, if
you
you
bring
give
those
me your
folks
email,
along.
I'm also happy to add you to the regular communications that we had with the Friends and Colors going before. You know, as I mentioned, Jesse's on those emails too. So, you know, again, and if you could just remind me, what is the advantage in your mind of a scissor stair versus the 2?
To create a space that's actually, first of all, usable. It's not like a wide corridor.
Right.
You could, you said it's for community use.
Right.
You know, you could set up folding chairs and have a presentation there.
Right.
In something that's roughly the proportions of a classroom. Because it, you know, is meant to recall a historic classroom, and it could function in a way as a classroom in the future.
Right. Okay, so I understand, it's an aesthetic.
Right,
Got it.
that and the issue of going back to the original brick, which I think we talked about before, and saw a lot of benefit in, you know, I'd like to keep those on the table.
Great.
And is there any way of achieving the fire rating you need for the windows with something like a sprinkler water curtain?
No,
or shutters?
a steel window is the only thing that makes them viable.
Okay, thank you.
Carrie, you wanna jump in? You had your hand up before.
No, my questions were asked. Thank you.
You got it. Okay, any other questions?
I'll leave some business cards. Anyone who would like to follow up with me, obviously it's
That'd be great, and I'll follow up with Jesse too, so that we can get connected to the resource that you're having a dialogue with.
Right here, Jim.
There's 5 here, and whoever needs one.
And I'll follow up with Jesse. Thank you very much for this
My
time,
pleasure.
and thank you for your willingness to come back as well.
It's not about willingness, it's our responsibility to the community. I don't want anyone to think we're doing you a favor. It's our job, right? We're here anytime you need us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I use the word willingness because not everybody expresses the same, and that's not about you.
One more question.
I'm gonna hold on to that, for the public testimony. Okay, You wanna talk, you can talk.
No, it's over, okay.
No, I know, but if you want to take it outside,
Okay,
okay?
great.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Appreciate your time, much
Thank
appreciated.
you. Looking forward to hearing from you. I'll send you my email.
You wanna check in with him now? When you come back, then we'll do public testimony, okay? Okay. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the time and questions. I'll follow up with Jesse. We'll add this content to our tracker so we can see over the course of this period how we progress. I think everyone's questions and reactions were heard in full. And I suspect that we will have for future presentations.
And Greg,
I'm gonna
will you
move-
share the information that he gave out on the cards to the entire committee?
Yeah, I can do that. I was gonna do a forward from Jesse because he said he was in contact. Let me take a picture of it and I'm gonna give that right back to you.
I mean, however you want to do it, it's fine.
Yeah, what I'll do, just so you know, I'll put this in the notes for tonight, okay? There we go.
So I'm lucky that I have the excuse that my left ear doesn't work, and I thought his name was James this whole time, I think I called him James twice. He didn't correct.
Good enough, okay. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. I will share that information, Carrie, thank you. Do we have attendees, Nellie, do we have attendees on for the next presentation, the 549 West 26th Street?
She was insisting on hitting another.
Couldn't hear a word you said, say it one more time.
Yes, we do. If they can raise their hands, I'll move them over one by one.
Thank you very much. Nellie, thank you very much for helping us out tonight, much appreciated. Feel like I'm in the remedial class of this.
You're very welcome.
And this screen presentation, by the way, I've never seen this in Zoom.
That's a
before,
good one.
But this is kind of cool. But if it's intense or uncomfortable at all, I would love to fix it. I don't, not sure why or how, but we're all on, and that's exciting.
No, I don't think we all are.
Well, if you, when there's speaking going on, it does move, so. And we did catch when Pamela was speaking, we got her, okay. All right, do we have everybody on? Nellie, do we have folks on? There we are, this group?
Yes, I've moved everyone over. It was 3 people. They can go on camera and start their presentation.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so folks, we'd love to get just a quick reintroduction, say hello, reintroduce yourself. Let us know your
Hello.
progress.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, heard, yes.
Okay, Mr. Chair, committee members, good evening. Rick Azar for 549 West 26th Street, a 6-story factory building constructed of red brick with limestone accents. Next page, please. Completed in 1901, the building is designed in the American round arch style, and you can see the building in the historic tax photo at the right, and is a contributing structure located in the West Chelsea Historic District. Next page, please. In January 2024, Community Board 4 and subsequently the New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission approved alterations to the first and second floors of 549 West 26th Street. Designed by architect Marcus Doshancy, the approved layouts provided new office and exhibition space for the Karma Gallery. Included in this work were 3 identical 14-foot-high glass and metal entrances. 2 of the entranceway openings, the west and center, that would be center and left, were already 14 feet high, with the easternmost 12 feet high, that would be the bay at the right. The plan calling for the easternmost lintel to be raised to 14 feet. Page T006, please. During demolition, it became apparent that this was not feasible. The easternmost lintel was part of a complicated structure that supported more than the masonry just above it. In order to maintain the design intent, the center and westernmost lintels were lowered to match the 12-foot easternmost lintel. The design, materials, operation, and finish of the approved entranceways were maintained. And while this change was filed with the Landmarks Commission, the work was performed before Landmarks approval. Hence, this item has been remanded back to public hearing. Architect Marcus Doshancy and his associate Victoria Maki joined tonight's presentation virtually. Marcus has some comments to share with Marcus.
Yeah, hi, Rick. Thank you for the introduction and for the details. Community board, thank you for seeing us. Yeah, I think Rick, you phrased it how it is, and the important part was for us to make sure that the height is maintained across those three entrances, and so we're back to present what actually has been built. So what you see on the right, this picture, that is what's there today. The renovation is finished, the gallery has opened. And we want to make sure it's all now legal and conforming. Thank you.
Okay, do we have questions? I'll go in the room first. Let's try to focus on questions as best we can. Let's start here, Kate. Go ahead.
So I understand what you're saying about lowering the two instead of lifting the one. But the one difference I see between the middle one and the one on the right that I haven't heard a discussion about is that it looks like you added an extra small window to be consistent with the ones above that. So was that also not part of what was approved? Is that correct?
It's no more.
Sorry. No, the small window was there on the center one. That's a rendering that missed the. You mean that small little window, right?
Yeah.
On the second floor. Yeah, we didn't touch those windows. Those were existing, and we didn't touch them. That's a mistake in the original rendering. Yeah. So that whole line we didn't touch. But good catch. Thank you.
David?
So this ended up just being like a storefront replacement, correct?
Correct.
And did you replace any of the brick above the storefronts?
We didn't replace, we added brick to bring the heights of the two storefronts to the same height as the one on the right, which is at 12 feet. So
do you have any
used,
kind of close-up photo of that?
I think we do, and we actually, there you see it.
Okay, and you could just make out where the new brick is right at the head of the window.
Mm-hmm.
And can you tell us why you didn't go back to landmarks before actually doing this work?
To be honest, I think there was a complete crunch for time, but I think mostly a miscommunication, because our understanding was that, that the important part was for it to be level. This was done very fast. And when we saw that we can't do it level, we went back to landmarks. But this project was done in a few months. So we simply didn't have, we thought it would be very straightforward on staff level to get the approval, because the objective was to have all three openings on the same height.
Okay, so they're
But
going
we did go back
for a public hearing on this, right?
Rick, maybe you can answer that.
Yeah, so we are here at Community Board 4, and then we will have to go to explain this to the commissioners.
Okay, so it won't necessarily go to a public hearing.
Well, it will go to public hearing, yes.
Oh, okay, so you need a line from us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Paul? Yeah, what is the letter? Are we saying that,
yeah,
it, like, they did this work, it violated LPC rules, so we say, shame on you? I'm not quite sure what we're voting on, what the topic is, so that's why, and Pam, if you can give some insight into that, but I don't know what do we do about this?
We let it be known that we are not happy. I hope we are not happy with the fact that they went ahead and operated, did this work without any landmarks approval. I personally don't really buy the story that there was more structural elements that they couldn't raise they wanted to match the two. I disagree with that. It's a street facing wall. It's not a structural wall. It's not holding the building up. It is only holding itself up and its windows and openings. I think we should make it clear that we are very uncomfortable with this abuse of the rules.
Can I, as a follow, should we ask them to go back to?
I'm perfectly willing to ask them to go take it out.
Take it out and put it
Take it
back
out
the way it was
do it the
approved
way
by
they were
LPC.
supposed to.
I mean,
I was really furious when I heard about this.
Well, let's see, is there does somebody want to weigh in on that in response to that? Online?
Yeah, look, and again, this was definitely something that should have gone to the course of going through landmarks, and I think that the process, that is the right thing to do. I just want to say that we have been submitting and we've been doing projects for that are landmarked for many years, and some of them which you might know of, but this is not what we typically do, and I can guarantee you that this is the first time that this happened to us. I can also guarantee you that I think we did over 40 galleries in New York City, and the goal always is to have the biggest opening possible into the building. So there was no bad intent of making it smaller. If we wouldn't have to, we definitely would have had it bigger. And if we would have known that this is what the outcome had to be, we would have presented it as it is today to landmarks. And as you can see, the main geometry of the building is clearly outlined by the arches. Our client spent a lot of money in cleaning the bottom of the building and exposing those bricks. We spent a lot of money and a lot of time in creating a beautiful gallery and restoring the front. There was absolutely no bad intent in making it 12 feet as opposed to 14. As I can assure you, any gallery would have loved for it to be 14 feet. But the fact was that it should have been investigated in more detail before we went in with the first submission. And we would have shown it in the first submission at 12 feet, which I think if you compare the right to what is there now to what was there before, it's absolutely in line with the geometry and rhythm of the building. So I don't, again, we feel terrible about that it happened, but yeah. We
All right,
can't go back.
I want to see if I'm gonna see if there are other, I'm gonna see if there are other questions first. Let's see if there's anybody else who has questions first. Anybody who hasn't spoken yet have a question? Carrie Keenan. Go ahead, Carrie. Let me get you.
Hi.
There you go. Go ahead,
I just want to say I remember this application, and I remember us asking you to restore the first 2 floors and add, I'm sorry, I don't have the vocabulary to describe what you added, above the windows, and I just want to say thanks, because I think it looks great, and I'm sorry this happened and it stinks. And I think it's really great to have an applicant who takes the time and money and care to put something back the way we ask them to. So
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Hey, Carrie. Okay. Anybody else who hasn't spoken yet want to weigh in? Vera?
Just a very quick question. You said you've done a lot of LPC work, and this is the first time you've done it. So it kind of throws me off completely. There are a couple of architects in the room here. If you've done this kind of work, how can you even potentially do this? So I think it's not Carrie who has to say sorry. I think you need to start by saying sorry. You did this, and we're here for your help. And the community board is here to help you, but at the same time, you have to help us help you. So in other words, do the things the right way from the start. And if you don't do things the right way, you come back and at least explain to us with an apology.
I think I did apologize, and I think that is exactly why we're here today.
Okay, David, you want to weigh in here?
Yeah, did you bring anything to document why it was so difficult to raise the heads as originally planned? Do you have any photos of what's behind the brickwork that could explain to us what you encountered that was an unforeseen condition?
We don't have any details that I can show you, but the facade is a load-bearing facade, so this was a big parking garage inside, and
that's just the spandrel.
Sorry,
that's just the spandrel above the opening.
Yeah, but you can maybe it's a little more. What you can see here is where the openings are. In the 2 openings that were lowered, you can see that the brick sets back, and so the arches are holding basically around it. That's the main structure that brings the whole building down. You can read basically between the windows. On the right side, this window, you can see there's actually no arch. So this facade, this brickwork doesn't sit back. So this whole opening, that is one structural wall, and you can see it's offset between the window on top. So because of that little window that you pointed out and the smaller window, if I open this up, my whole load goes basically down. So this was very, and again, we should have gone in there and demolished it and opened it up on the inside to really see what this wall means. But this piece over the arch, as you can see, it's set back on the other two. It's not set back here, and the window over that third opening is smaller. You can see the brickwork continuing down.
Right, but we're not talking about that window, we're talking about the heads of the other two, and the reason they're recessed is because the wall can be thinner there. Because it's not low there.
That is correct, so that's why it was easy to lower those. The issue is we in order to get the 14 feet, we would have to raise the one on the right by 2 feet. So you would have to put in a structural beam to bridge the opening of that storefront and gain 2 feet. We would have to demolish or remove 2 feet of brick and insert a steel beam, which would have to hold this facade. And again, this is different than the other two locations because the brick actually sets back.
Okay, I'm not following this because in the pre-existing condition photo on the left, it looks like the openings were the height that you were intended to make them when you made the first presentation of the landmarks.
Correct.
So why did you need to raise the heads of those when they were already at the design height?
Okay, so the two, maybe there's a misunderstanding. So originally there's 3 openings. The 2 openings, the one on the left and the one in the center, were at 14 feet, and the one on the right is at 12 feet. We proposed to Landmarks to have them all at the same level, which basically means opening up the one that's on 12 foot and raising it to 14. So removing 2 or 3 layers of, actually more than that, of historic brick to bring it up to 14 feet, to make them all the same level, and that was approved. When we started,
I can understand how you wouldn't raise the one on the right to 14 feet because, yeah, that is picking up.
That was the problem.
All above it isn't picked up by the arch, but
That's right.
what about raising the other 2 to 14?
They were already at 14.
I'm
So
sorry.
we're at 14, so we would
Maintaining them at 14, I should say.
So we lowered them to 12, so they are the same height as the one on the right, because for us, the important thing, and that's what we presented at Landmarks, was that they all 3 are at the same height. So since we couldn't raise the one on the right to 14, we left it at its original 12.
Okay, let's pause here. Any other thoughts, questions?
Yeah,
All right, I think, are we covering new ground, Pamela, or?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, in passing by the building, I observed that the ceiling in the gallery space is dropped to just above the height of the 12-foot openings. It occurred to me that possibly that was a convenient solution to bringing the wall down to the windows down to 12 was just an easy way to solve. How do you disguise having dropped the ceiling in the interior space down to 12? I would like to suggest to this board that we consider asking them to go back to the building owner and make a deal. If they will have the paint removed from the upper floors of this building so that the original brick is exposed all the way, and that would give the opportunity for the limestone members that are inserted above the arched windows that are matched on the 4th floor, we'd be able to see that definition. It would be beautiful. It would be an enormous improvement in the whole look of this building, and it would be a great selling point for the owner, I would think. I would accept that.
So Pamela, are you making a motion
I certainly am.
to allow for that and write a letter to the Landmarks Commission saying that we would accept the existing conditions of the openings provided the owner strip the paint?
I would go for that.
Can I ask
Discussion.
Can I ask a question about stripping paint? doesn't that damage the bricks? though?
Not in this, no.
Well, maybe to add a little background to that. Yeah, maybe to add a little background. So this is actually what we did propose. And that is what we would have hoped that would happen. And we couldn't get the owner to pay for the removal of the paint. So the gallery actually agreed to cleaning the bottom 2 floors, because the second floor that you see is not part of the gallery. That is still owned by the rest of the tenant of the building. So the gallery went ahead and cleaned the bottom 2 floors carefully and removed the paint. But we didn't get the landlord, and we tried, trust me. So we would be fighting the same battle here, and it would be very much in our interest to clean the building. I agree with you.
But maybe if you would win the battle if you had the support of the community board.
So can I ask a question on the?
Well, we're still in discussion. Go ahead, discussion.
On the proposed motion, because I'm still kind of like, so what, right? Like, it's like they came to us, they lowered 2 entrances by 2 feet. The end result, as Carrie points out, was a great deal of work. But on the other side of it, they just basically ignored LPC restrictions, and we want to penalize them in some way. And one way to penalize them would be to make them go back in and reopen those 2 entrances up to 14 feet height, which would do a lot more damage, I think, than we really want. So maybe the penalty for this infraction is to require a removal of the paint on the upper floors to bring this more into a historic perspective. So not deal cutting, but the penalty for their behavior is a restoration of the rest of the facade.
Well, again, let's be, if I understood correctly, they've been advocating for what you're describing. The building owner has not committed to that. So I just want to make sure that's what I'm hearing. So what we're saying as a penalty is something that the building owner has.
The building owner would then have the penalty.
I understand. I just want to, understood. I'm gonna go Brian here because we haven't heard. Go ahead.
So first, I don't think that I set up to be on this committee to give penalties to people who, that's like Landmark's job, not our job. That's my first view. Secondly, is that the right trade? Like some brickwork that they didn't get approval for stripping the building? That seems like a pretty good deal for these guys. I would take that deal if I were them.
Okay, thoughts, questions, discussion, we're in discussion.
I'm just a little confused still. So my understanding is, so there's this group that owns the gallery. They don't own the upper floors. They don't own the facade up above. So it sounds like you asked the owner if they would take the paint off. They said no, they didn't want to pay for it. So it sounds like we're saying that the penalty is that this group needs to pay for or get agreement from the building owner, and frankly, everybody who lives there, for this work to be undertaken. I don't know, it just, and what if the owner says no, or what if people who live there who say, we don't want to live through that? It's not clear to me what we're saying. I mean.
Well, if I can address that.
Clarify.
Just to clarify that. But we would say to LPC, Brian, like, this needs to be put back the way it was approved, which would be 14-foot height entrances, right? Or as an alternative, you could strip all the paint off and leave the brickwork at those 3 entrances alone and strip the paint. So they've given options. Put it back the way it was approved and spend that money and time and work. Or alternatively, restore the facade by removing the paint. And as Brian points out, it'd be a better option for them to restore the paint. We as a community would end up with a better product in the end.
Yes,
And the landlord would end up with a better product.
yes.
Well, and let's remind ourselves, we're in an advisory capacity here as well.
Exactly. Okay.
So
So that's
this body is essentially considering a motion for advisement purposes, right?
That said, writing such a letter would say. that we're
Deny
not
unless?
Just going to, let things like this pass, which just encourages more in the future.
That's right, Okay.
Sorry, is it a deny unless you strip the paint off the whole building?
I don't think it was, it sounded like an either.
Yes, I would say so. That has strength that I would go with.
I'm gonna go back to you.
But what is
last
the,
person?
what are they applying for with us?
Yeah.
What, like, where are we, is there an application we're denying?
I think it's like to be considered a new application. I mean,
Is it a new
I
application?
guess, right? It's a
Back to the beginning.
It says
Yeah.
that instead of doing a rendering, they actually built it. And we're going to vote on whether we approve of that.
Right.
So
That's
the
how I
application-
take it as well.
All right, thanks, Carrie. And just so I'm clear now, the application is for 3 12-foot entrances. And we're saying, no, deny those 3 entrances unless they put it back to where it was previously approved, or unless they strip all the paint off the upper floors. So
Sounds right.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? So earlier, I'm sorry, this is to the architects, I guess, or somebody, but I just want to make sure, I think you had alluded to the fact, but is it accurate to say that in no other project that you've ever worked on, that you have ever not had, that you've ever not followed the approvals that you had? That was badly worded.
There was like 4 negatives in there.
Yes, but with other words, this is my first time, yes.
Okay.
Not violated.
Yes,
Anyway.
in the past 24 years, this is the first time I had to go back because of an issue with doing something before we got approval. Yes.
So basically, it's your offense.
That's
It's
all.
my first offense, correct?
Yes.
And to be honest, we underestimated the fact. We thought that the most important thing is to have all 3 at the same height. And when the third one that we wanted, because we wanted it to be taller, because as I said, every gallery wants a maximum height inside and outside, and we couldn't move it up, so it was moved down. And that decision was made very quickly during the construction, and we were like, wait, we got to go back to landmarks. We got to make sure that this is fine, and this is what we are now doing, and that's why we're here. So there was no bad intent, and as I said, this is the first time this ever happened, and trust me, I'm not happy about it, and I'm not happy about the process that we had during construction, but it was a very fast project, and so that's why we are where we are. But that said, I personally, not that it makes a big difference right now, but I think it's the right decision for all 3 of them to be on the same height. So if we would have submitted this, knowing what we know now, we would have gone in suggesting to lower those 2, because we know to get the 12-foot one to 14 would have been very, very difficult and expensive, and we wouldn't have had time to do it. So we would have proposed to go in with a 12-foot opening for all 3 in the first place. That would have been the right thing to do.
Let me just say, I appreciate you coming here and doing this with us. You're presenting, you're responding, you're reflecting, and I think that's appreciated. But we're leaving off here with what I think was the beginning of a motion. We don't have a second yet, but I don't think, it probably needs to be restated.
Yeah.
But I think you were the last person to sort of, more discussion.
He's the last person to state it, and I'm only second it, that's what I'm.
Yeah, I think it needs to be
Right, so I
restated.
will rephrase the motion. So, the motion would be to deny this application, unless they revert to the original approved plan, or unless they remove the paint on the upper levels and restore the brick facade to its original intent. Jack said the look on her face like that's.
It's okay, but I'm just confused, and I haven't been around this table in a while, but confused. If we deny it and LPC were to deny it, what predicament does that actually leave the building in, seeing as the work has already been done?
I think that they would force them to go, I mean, what could LPC do is make them go back and redo the reopenings the way it was approved.
Well,
Or they could just approve it.
LPC could issue a violation which doesn't necessarily require a remedy to the work. However, if you want to get a further building department approval, or sell the building, or get another landmarks approval, you can't get it without remedying the violation.
It's on your record. There you go. Okay.
Well, that raises the question where there should be, you say that we should just issue a violation?
Should that be our letter?
Should that be our
Recommending a violation issue?
You don't have a second, we're gonna say we don't have a second yet, so let's
So,
continue to.
so maybe I have to rethink this motion then. Is that-
No, that's a separate thing, and I guess the issue with like.
Wait, this is
They
the
don't,
motion.
they don't want the violation, you know,
Yeah,
there's
they-
probably fewer.
Violation is gonna hurt
It's
us
straight.
more.
Right, but
Can
if-
I ask a question? Sorry.
Yeah, let
Um,
me just.
But hold on one second, Marcus, hold on one second, hold on one second.
Let me just blurt out my question and then,
Yeah.
and then we can, but if we ask LPC to issue a violation. And the remedy of the violation is to fix the paint, the violation goes away.
Right, because LPC has the right to say, okay, we
Here's a violation, here's the remedy. The remedy is remove the paint. They remove the paint and the violation on the building goes away, and therefore it goes on the building. Which we're hearing the building owner is the one who's given us the resistance. So the LPC violation goes on the building. And the building can't do anything else in the future unless the paint is taken off. Anyway, but I don't know.
I have a question, like why do we want, like, why is it this committee's job to like suggest the paint comes off? I'm really confused about this, like.
It's not that the committee's position is to remove the paint. The issue is we have an LPC violation and there is currently an application before us to approve the violation. And so we're saying, no, it's a violation. You have to have some remedy and you have to be penalized. They knew what they were doing. They knew they were doing it wrong. He admits this is his first violation ever. They know what the process is. And we're saying, people can't just go around doing these things. They have to be penalized in some way. So the penalty is a remedy that this applicant is even saying they wanted to do, the building owner is not saying it, and it's something this community had asked for to get that done. So we have an opportunity where there is a violation, they did not obey LPC regulations, and we can offer a solution that benefits us.
So this is private property, right? Why does the community get to decide what color the building is?
The building, the community doesn't, LPC does. And so what we're saying is.
We're in an advisory capacity.
I suggested this.
Hold on, I'm gonna get Mike, I'm gonna get you in a second. Brian, finish your thought and then I'll get Mike in.
You screwed up. We suggest landmarks issues a violation. I think that should be, that should be it. Like, I disagree with repainting.
Okay, got it, let's talk. Mike, let's get Mike in. I see your hand up, Mike. We're still discussing here, so Mike, go ahead.
Sorry, gotta get on here. I thought this started out with the applicant here going to the landlord and asking for this to be done. And no requirement that it actually has to be done, right? Use his best efforts to have it happen. All right. Now with the community board strengthening his argument, it might happen after all. All right. Is that not what we started out doing?
Is that what we started out doing? I'm not trying to answer that, Mike, except to say, it sounds as if the applicant here had tried to work with the landlord to do something slightly different than what was acted on. There could be additional leverage thought of by this committee by virtue of this particular moment to put some extra mustard on that to try to get something out of it. Go ahead.
Just very quickly, just to add, like Carrie, I also have a memory of this coming before the committee back in 3 years ago. And there was also discussion about removing the paint on the upper floors. So I would just offer that while that feels like an additive new topic that we're just throwing in right now, it was part of, as I recall, part of the discussion at the time.
You are correct.
And as he said, was not approved by the owner, but it was something that we asked as part of the full restoration of the building.
And they did to the 2 floors, so at their own cost. I just want to add that in. Like those 2 floors were, the bottom 2 floors were not restored. The paint was not removed when, as evident by the, well, what is my left picture? I don't know what you guys are seeing.
Viren, go ahead.
Very quick clarifying question. Haven't they already got violation from LPC, which is why they're here? So the violation has already been issued. You don't need to ask for it. Now, we're trying to help them deal with that violation by suggesting that you screwed up. We would have liked it to be that way, and we're not forcing you to do it that way. We are, in fact, giving you something else to do, which is to remove the paint. So we are not issuing a violation, we're not asking LPC for a new violation, we're actually helping them fix the issue that they have come to us for help.
So we're gonna look at it. All right, we're at a stage where I don't know how much more discussion we can have on this.
We have Paul's motion.
But I think we need to restate the motion.
Can I ask one more question, Greg? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
Can I-
sorry, we have another question. Carrie,
Just one
go
more.
ahead,
Sorry, are we saying that it is the tenant's now responsibility if the landlord says no to remove the paint off this building?
Now, what
Since
would happen
they
if
incurred the violation?
if they couldn't remove the paint, they would have to fix the entrance to be like their original proposal.
Right, okay.
Let me
thank
pause
you.
for a second. Marcus, if we could give you exactly what it is you wished you could have the most from us, what would it be?
Well, I think the first step would be that you say, well, what has been built today, even so it was built without Landmark's approval, that you are fine with what's been built, so that you're fine with the 3 12-foot openings. Because the intent really was to have them at the same height. And the second one would be to accept my apologies for, doing it the wrong way around, because that really is not what we do, and that's why we're here.
Thank you, Marcus.
Ain't that not?
Paul, you want to restate your motion, my friend?
Restate your motion, Paul.
This ought to be good. Here it is, Paul. Go ahead. See if we can piece together a motion out of this one.
All right, thanks. So.
Uh-oh. No, fine, not touching anything. Go ahead.
All right, so the motion is to deny this application to lower the 3 windows to 12 feet. Unless they remove the paint on the upper floors of the facade. In which case we would deny unless means if they remove the paint, then we approve this plan as it exists.
I second it.
Okay, we have motion, we have a second. And remember, if you're voting, you need to be on camera. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Keep them up until I do the count. God, I'm starting to sound like Jesse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I see, 9, Martin. Okay, Marty, sorry, 9, go ahead. All right, hands down. All those opposed. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we have any abstentions? Oh, hands down, hands down, hands down, hands down. Mike, hands down. Any abstentions? Any P&Es? Okay, motion passes 9-4, correct? Yes, am I doing the numbers right?
Who was?
I don't know what I'm
there was a
telling
denier.
Wait,
There were
wait.
3 on, I mean, 2 and then 1. I didn't see the 4th, but I didn't look that way.
Okay, we got it.
There were 3 in a row.
Yeah, okay. Motion passes.
Wunderbar.
Okay, Marcus and team. Thank you very much for coming and being so responsive and reflective with us. I think it's fair we will accept the apology because we've heard it directly from you.
Yeah.
You have also heard us navigate this, think about this, and you've heard what it is that we're going to write. Okay?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you and have a wonderful
Really appreciate
evening.
it. Same to you.
Take
Thank
good
you.
care. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. And on that note, Jessica will exit this side. And we will go on to a whole nother topic. Well, thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. Wow, it's great to see you in the room. All right, here we go. Let's go on to the next top. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I'm gonna, without objection in the room, I'm gonna do public testimony now. Because I know you've had some time. Want to do public testimony? 2 minutes of public testimony. You're gonna need to introduce yourself first. Come on, do it over on this side. I will keep the time for you. I do want to get public testimony in now. I thank you for your patience. I know that was an exciting hour. All right, when you are ready, go ahead and introduce yourself. 2 minutes.
My name is Matthew Robinson. I live in Chelsea. What I'm talking about is 18th Street and 10th Avenue where the diner is. Adjacent to it is where Toll Brothers is going to be doing a high rise. I was formed by the owner of the diner who does not own the property, that they have 3 months' notice to vacate. That means that most likely that is one site of multiple sites that will be combined into that one property, the property that now is vacant. Most likely the old pizza place, which is just south, will be taken. Also just east of the diner is a gallery, and that will probably be taken as well. So there are a bunch of moving pieces, and so then, since you're land use, stuff like that, just be aware that those pieces are happening very soon, and so maybe in 2 months, you know, because I'm not sure when the 3 months starts, but you may see that the diner's gone and you say, what happened? So it's probably just to assemble a much bigger piece, and it's gonna be moving very, very quickly. So that's the main thing I wanted to discuss.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman.
Much appreciated, thank you. And thank you for your patience. I'm glad we were able to get that in. Okay, let's move on to the next agenda item. This is the committee discussion. This is the board letter. Now, if you recall, the last time we came together, we did not have quorum. So we had a discussion about Landmarks Preservation Commission appointments. We did not have quorum. We decided to kick it over to the executive committee. Executive committee had a conversation about it, but the decision was made that this would go back into the hands of the land use committees for reflection. That's where we left off. And if I understand correctly, as of today, there is a draft, and I'm looking directly at you, Paul, in this case,
Yes.
that there is a new draft. So what I'm going to ask is, Nellie, can we pull up the draft of the document that came in today, and maybe we can take a look at it on screen as you talk it through.
Great, thanks. This letter originated from this committee. I wasn't at the meeting, but I did watch the meeting, and not only was there not a quorum to issue a letter, but also there wasn't unanimous consent from the committee to go forward with something. So the letter moved to executive committee. And a lot of the conversation that happened here that did not allow for the unanimity of a position was the bifurcation between preservation and housing. And people that were pro-housing were saying preservation restricts housing, preservationists were saying we can allow for housing, it doesn't, and this dialogue in this committee sort of took two sides. Went to executive committee, similarly, that conversation happened, and then it went to Hell's Kitchen Land Use, and again, the conversation became binary. And throughout the Hell's Kitchen Land Use conversation, the decision was to move forward on a more nuanced letter that respects preservation, but also respects the need for driving housing in the district, and utilizing examples of our successes in this district of balancing between the preservation districts, the historic districts, and the incredible housing growth that we have in this district. We are the biggest housing producer in Manhattan. Our community board district is the largest producer of housing, and we have 75% of our geography covered with preservation districts and historic districts. So the goal was to try to thread the needle a little bit better in finding a balance between promoting a letter to the new mayor, who's a pro-housing mayor, to say, when you're appointing to LPC, keep in mind what the issues of preservation are and stay focused on the need for preservation, while recognizing that you as a housing mayor can balance between preservation and housing. So this draft came out of that dialogue, and I have to thank Joe Restuccia and his staff Maya for writing this, and it literally came in today. So I read it as I sat down at this meeting. So there are some things in here that are probably questionable, but the point being that we want to send a letter to the mayor that is respectful of the new mayor and his position, but recognizing that we're pushing for LPC appointments that have more skill set in preservation. So that's the background, the tone of this letter, which is a lot different from what had originally started out.
We emphasize 2 points. One,
it's very hard to read.
Yeah, this is different. So let me just emphasize 2 points. One is, as a reminder, this was a conversation at the last meeting. and you didn't have quorum, so not everybody was around the table having a conversation about this. So it may feel new to start with. What is also new, and I just want to again highlight this point, this draft was not accessible until, or did not, I was not aware of this draft until 4 o'clock today. And I will just say this to everybody around this table. I'm not comfortable with receiving material that requires serious reflection with so little time to look closely at it. I'm saying that as just from my perspective, okay? It doesn't mean what's written isn't fantastic. It simply means I will acknowledge as chair, I didn't get a chance to see this. And that concerns me. Carrie, your hand is up. I'm gonna go to you in a second, but Paul.
Just to clarify, this will now come out of executive committee.
There, that's it.
It won't be a Chelsea Land Use Committee letter nor a Hell's Kitchen Land Use letter, although our 4 signatures will be on it. But it will be an executive committee letter. So what Hell's Kitchen Land Use recommends to the executive committee, what Chelsea Land Use recommends to the executive committee will then make the decision about what goes out. So, finding that balance is what's important.
Thank you. I'm gonna go to Carrie first. I'm gonna go to Carrie first, because Carrie had her hand up first. Go ahead, Carrie.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it came late. I got it about 6, but I had a chance to read it really quickly. And I have some friendly amendments. I also just want to, I think, correct the record that we didn't have a letter at committee last month. We just had an idea for this letter.
Yes, thank you.
So that was sort of why we didn't, I mean, we didn't have quorum, but we also didn't vote on a letter because there wasn't a letter. We just agreed to move the idea forward, basically. So I think the first time a letter was actually shown was at exec.
Thank you for the clarification, Carrie. My apologies. I misspoke.
No worries. So, so I think this letter is much better than I really appreciate the idea that we're talking upfront about our record on affordable housing and housing in general and our housing plan, because I think that's imperative to send to this mayor. And I agree with the letter overall. Like, I would support the letter. I just have some hopefully friendly amendments. And again, I would like to, maybe there might be some more, Paul, if you don't mind. And I'm not sure who the author is at this point, if it's David or Paul that I should be addressing, but both of you.
Actually, Carrie, on that note for 1 second.
Address Greg as the
It's
chair.
address me as the
Okay.
chair in this case, because we're trying to
it's-
figure out our process or our response to this.
Okay,
But
so,
none of the drafters are in the room. I don't think it was
I
a
see.
conversation to have none of this.
okay, so Greg, I have some friendly amendments. First, I have a question for David, just for my education. When the oldest house in Chelsea, that, terrible thing happened, did we actually lose any housing units, or was it a single family house?
It was a single family house with an apartment.
Right, yes, were there 2? When they up
I know of one in the top of the basement.
It was 2-family house.
Well,
Okay.
it was a 1-family house with a rental.
With a
unit,
rental,
Ben.
yeah.
I think the garden level was a rental, right? Didn't Leslie have a basement apartment?
No, Leslie had the parlor.
All right.
All right, go ahead. Carrie, go ahead.
So yeah, so on page 3, line 79, we talk about, sorry, thank you, Nellie. We start this whole section of loss of housing, which I think personally is really compelling for this administration. The idea that, of the mega mansions and the things that we hate and we always push back against. But I don't think it's the right thing to use this example as the example, because I think the next paragraph is actually the example, right? The mega mansions, unless we did lose significant housing with that example. So my suggestion would be to either strike that paragraph or to explain that housing was lost in that example, because right now it doesn't say that.
It's more about the commission having made a bad decision. Right?
So
And
maybe that
actually-
then goes somewhere else, or, I'm sorry.
So that it doesn't get confused with the housing issue.
Well, so for me, this is loss of housing units, right? That's the heading. So we should go straight to the loss of housing
Oh,
units.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to put that somewhere else, I'm happy to look at that. But like right now, that paragraph, that whole first paragraph just seems misplaced, and we don't talk about the loss of housing units right away. We just give more historical background. So that's
And
just
that's,
a
and you're saying it's the paragraph that starts on line 89, right?
79
79
to
or
80
89?
to 87.
Oh, sorry, 80, okay, 79.
So like I
87.
would start that section with line 89.
There, that's what you meant. Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Yes. And one thought I had was when we do talk about what the successes that we've had, and I know it's theoretical at this point because it's not yet built, but I think Bayview is an excellent example of how our neighborhood is, taking a historic building, even though it's SHPO, it's not the city, and turning it into affordable housing and adding, bulk to create even more housing. Like, to me, that's a fantastic example, even though it's theoretical. I think we hope that happens. So just a suggestion. And the one thing I'm concerned about throughout is this idea, there's like reference to the public. Like the public is really against, or the public recognizes that LPC is a problem. And then like on page 134 and page 123, we use this word, the public, but the public didn't bring this to us. This came out of committee. We haven't brought it to the public and asked them what they think. So I would just be careful about invoking like this kind of mass public antagonism towards LPC.
Carrie, can you take a half step back and just to tell me what you were saying about Bayview?
We
You make a reference to it, is that what it is?
Yeah, I think we should use Bayview and as an example of how, pro housing, within a historical building, as an example that we are taking a historic building and we are adding a tremendous amount of housing.
How preservation and housing can work together.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Viren, you had your hand up, and then Marty, I'm gonna go to you. Go ahead.
Thank
Just a very
you.
quick question.
Thank you, Carrie. Viren, go ahead.
Since we didn't get the letter with time, how much time do we have to be able to read through it and give you comments?
Yeah, that's what I was.
It's a great question.
23rd.
The meeting is on the 23rd.
Exec is on the 20th.
Exec is the 23rd, so we'd
So
have to
we-
have it before that, so.
So
The
But
end of
I
this
think I
week.
remember we also thought last meeting that this was important because it's a new administration, so we wanted to get this, in front of them quickly.
Yeah, I have thoughts about that, but I'll come back to it. Do you have a follow-up?
No, but 20th you want it? No.
So the meeting's on the, exec committee meeting is on the 23rd,
By this Friday.
so we would need it by the end of this week if folks had
Okay.
comments.
Sounds good.
Okay,
And to that point,
Marty and then Brian, okay? And Marty.
I'm actually thinking about the same point.
Wait, Marty, hold on 1 second, hold on 1 second.
I'm just wondering, so if you want comments by Friday, because some of us haven't read it at all.
No, I understand.
Yeah, do we copy everybody? Like, are we including?
We'll come
everybody?
back to that. Let's come back to that.
Okay.
I'm just simply, question was, if something's related to the 23rd, I would want to see it by the 20th. That's what I was just getting at there, okay? But we'll come back, we can circle back to
Okay.
that. Marty, go ahead, sorry.
I have to echo your original comment that I am uncomfortable voting on anything that I haven't had a chance to read.
Okay.
And you're saying there's time pressure and we always get bent, hurry up and do it. In this case, it's not really a good thing to do. It's an important letter.
Thank you, Marty. I'm gonna let folks talk and then I'll jump in.
Yeah, I read, I read it on the walk here. I was struck by the dime savings bank example. It's like 92 stories in Brooklyn. I don't think there's any chance that was ever getting improved in Hell's Kitchen or Chelsea. So I think that maybe we need a different example in that.
Okay.
Well, we've got a 6-story addition to the terminal warehouse. There's a 24-story addition in the Madison Square North Historic District next to a 5-story McKinley White Bank building. It's immediately next door to that new Russian super tall that's going up that blocks the view of the Empire State Building from Madison Square. Had landmarks included that part of the block when it created that district, we wouldn't have lost that view. I mean, that's a case for landmarking.
So, I mean, that's I think I'm hearing that as an.
Although it didn't
fill
create,
gap filler.
it created hotel rooms, that
Yeah.
didn't create housing.
Okay.
But I think Bayview is a very good example, and it points to the fact that we're not a NIMBY community. It's a building we've been pushing to have designated, and yet we supported the addition, and we even supported transitional housing for people who are leaving incarceration and with mental health needs, which I'm very proud of, and it shows that we're not just trying to protect the exclusivity of our property.
More follow-up. Yeah, so I think the first thing is that we should probably put something in the district instead of something in Brooklyn that we didn't have anything to do with. Second piece is each committee doing this? So is HHHS doing something to homeless services? Is everyone writing a letter to the mayor? Does anyone know based on like new mayor, here's what you should be thinking about? Or
No,
is
it has to do with the need to fill the position of Landmark's chair, which is empty right now. And also the fact that last year, Landmarks only designated 4 new buildings. Actually, it's not even 4 new buildings. Of those 4 designations, 2 of them were the interior and exterior of Marcel Boyer's Whitney Museum, which was already in the historic district. One of them was 2 floors of the interior of the Modulator building, which was already landmarked on 58th Street. The only one that covered any new territory in New York was the Jacob Day residence at 50 West 13th Street, the home of a Black abolitionist and voting rights advocate that covers about 2,000 square feet. And that is all in 1 year. That is how far the faucet has been tightened down on new designations. And that's much of the reason for writing this letter.
Did we talk about that?
So wait, let me,
Yes,
hold on. Let me,
Shows that.
let me just, in response to the
Yeah,
question, a response to the question is, that's the purpose and value of responding in this case. I am not aware of a committee that has produced something to advocate with the administration for an appointment. I'm not aware, I don't recall seeing that at this particular moment. This is a committee that's established from its perspective, based on the conversation we had last time. Now we're taking a look at it again, that this may be something that's a priority for us, but I'm not aware of another committee that's been
One last
engaged.
question, Greg.
Yeah, go ahead.
You guys have been here a lot longer than I have. In your memory, has CB4 the committee's ever written a letter to the mayor saying, hey, for a welcome new mayor, here's who you should consider for your chair?
I wouldn't say I'm aware of any welcome mayor, here's who you should consider, right? And I had a little bit of, when I first heard this dialogue from last month's meeting, when I watched it, I had a little bit of that same reaction, like, why are we telling the mayor what to do with his appointments? But have we taken positions and said to administrations, these are issues that we as a community are facing, and we would urge you to take action on these steps? And the answer to that is yes, we have done those before. And we successfully, it was announced that Hell's Kitchen land use and not here. We've been pushing for a checkbox in government buildings to have a checkbox that says if you're in a preservation district, no demolition. That was a request we made to Mayor de Blasio when he first came in, and it took until last month for that to happen. So that's an example I would use of a situation where we identified a problem as the community. We went to a mayor and said, we want this changed. And then 15 years later it happened. So yes, there is some precedence.
I don't need, sorry, one more thing. I just put much more amenable to like, you're gonna have new appointments all over the place. They're just getting started. Like maybe each committee needs to think about like, hey, as you appoint, so I think the homeless services person, I don't know, like has to, like, that to me seems more reasonable than like, the only thing that's CB4 coming out of CB4 for this new mayor is like this letter to, basically saying you should put someone in for Landmark's chair who, believes in the following things in this letter. Like, let's be consistent.
We are Chelsea Land Use, so this is one of our big, Landmarks is one of our big 50% of what we do. So, this is what we would put forward. And if Housing, Health and Human Services wants to put forward something, then they should.
Yeah, I think, if I could just jump in here to say, if this committee chooses to put forward something as a priority, we have the avenue to be able to produce a letter, take a motion, put it in front of the board and have it voted on. That's our choice. We don't have to worry about any other committee. To your point about, does CB4 have a point of view for a new mayor or for an existing mayor. I mean, the only time that we weigh in directly, besides the example, Paul, you just put up, which is 15 years removed, is on an annual basis. We have to talk about budget priorities. And as part of those budget priorities, we tend to identify both where money should go and in some cases, what particular priorities different agencies should have in response to what the community board wants or needs. All that to say, our committee can choose to proceed.
Yeah.
To your point about the board itself, that is an interesting topic probably for the executive committee to think about as a larger conversation for how it is that we think about. There are plenty of roles, by the way, that have not yet been filled by this administration that impact this neighborhood.
Yeah.
So message received, and also we can make our own choice. Go ahead.
And we do have precedent for this. We wrote a letter to the mayor when the landmarks chair position was empty last time and asked that
Okay. There you
a trained professional preservationist be made the chair. And
At the beginning of the Adams administration?
and yeah,
Okay,
and
got it.
no, it was still during de Blasio, I think.
Oh, de Blasio.
And other preservation groups did as well, and that came to fruition.
Right.
And unfortunately, we got it dubbed, but you know, it looked like it was gonna work for a while, but there is precedent.
And that's an interesting addition to this, which is to say, a number of community boards standing together to submit something may or may not have more or less value than one board saying it. That's just something we have to think about as a member of this quasi-governmental entity.
And I would defend the public perception part of this. I mean, if you ask the head of Historic Districts Council or the Victorian Society of New York or Village Preservation, if they thought that the Landmarks Commission was bending over backwards to accommodate developers, they wouldn't say, well, maybe, they'd say, duh.
Fair point. I think it's about the definition of what the public is.
There's no definition. of
That
public.
was that they are part of the public. That is a part of the public. Well, they are part of the public. All right, other folks want to weigh in. Well, no, but valuable to say that there are different points of view and interests. Go ahead.
Very quick clarification, two committees are writing, am I right? Both land use committees are.
Land use committees are reflecting on this particular document.
Proposing something come out of
That's
executive.
something we collectively writing, two committees, we're actually writing this collectively, so two committees are already involved. There might be something else that might happen in Harvey, and you might feel, the committee might feel the need to write a letter. This committee board's role is advisory, and more often than not, we actually have advice that sort of falls issue based rather than, you know, picking a particular person. So I think it's pretty sort of logical for us to express an opinion about what we want changed, you know.
Well, and you could argue that this district's biggest concern is public safety, and should we be weighing in on the future of who leads the Office of Community Safety in New York City is something that may want to reflect on. Okay, on that note, other response, reflection, question on this particular what you've seen of this letter. I will just reiterate. I am not thrilled that we are looking at it at this time. I don't feel like it's been digested. Carrie, I want to thank you. I have no issues with any of the comments that you shared. I feel like they're all friendly. At the same time, I will acknowledge I have not digested this content. So I'm deferring to this body at this moment to guide whether or not we're ready to dig in. Paul had his hand up first, Viren, so he beat you. So I'm gonna let Paul wait.
Can I just make a recommendation then? Because this is going to go to executive committee and people are saying, where do we send comments?
Exactly.
Send them to me and Greg.
Yeah.
And Rachel Lee, because she's Hell's Kitchen Land, we're the signatories on this letter. Right, so send it to us and we'll hammer it out, and then we'll bring it to executive committee. And then executive committee will opine on it, and then we'll bring it to board.
Yeah, there's a way to do it. Katie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so I guess it is to say, you know, because we've been talking about process and other things, that I hope going forward to the point you just made, that we won't ever take a vote on something that we've not had.
Yeah.
Ample time to review.
Yeah.
So hopefully and so I'm glad we're not taking a vote this evening. And I appreciate understanding sort of what the proposed process is about submitting comments. And I just have the same question I had earlier, which is, when we submit comments, is it helpful to copy everybody on the committee? Or do you want us to just send them
It's
to you too?
easier if, no, because then it gets,
Mhm.
things get jumbled in that way. So what I mean by that is, if it's going to Paul, me, Rachel, would be ideal. And I can send out via email along with the name of the sanitation guy who was here to follow up on, along with just a reminder who to send that to.
Okay,
By the end of the day on Friday, that would be ideal. I'm comfortable saying this is the running tab of comments I have, and then circulating that to the group after that and saying, hey, here's what I have. Is anything missing? The only problem with that is just timing wise, we're up against a Monday night. So it cramps our ability to be reflective.
And not to forget that we have full boards, so you will see a letter and
And
you'll
then
be
there'll be
able
more
to
time for
comment
full
on the
board.
final letter, which I think is what, everybody really will be doing, right?
Thanks,
Since
Carrie.
it's a
And
work
the
in
other-
progress.
Such is life. Thanks,
The
Carrie.
other-
Comment to make.
We'll come right back.
The other issue with circulating emails to the committee is it violates sunshine laws, because not everybody can participate in the email stream. And where we have a majority of the committee discussing a topic that is not public, so we have to be very careful about that. So sending it directly to the three co-chairs, then Greg can reply and send, this is the kind of summary, and then individuals can then reply back to the chair and
Okay.
not have committee discussion outside of public view.
okay.
I appreciate how much we work together to work through these responses. Go ahead.
And this goes a little bit, I guess, to what Gary just said, so I understand the process. So you guys are gonna put your heads together, and then you're gonna present to the executive board. And then I guess my question is, will it then be discussed at full board, or because it's an executive board decision, will it be issued beforehand?
No,
No, it's gotta be.
it'll be
Yeah.
executive, like a committee.
Yeah.
And it will be a letter on the agenda of the full board meeting for discussion at full board. It's not a letter that, because that does get, and so people, it is a good question, because we often have to meet deadlines and it gets ratified by the full board.
Exactly.
Like we have a ULURP process going on in Hell's Kitchen right now that will be approved by executive and then ratified by the full board. This is not that case. In this case, the executive committee is behaving as a committee, and it will report out to the full board, just like every other committee.
Got it, thanks.
But all members can still join that meeting.
Correct.
Say
Yeah, oh, yeah,
whatever you
yeah.
wanna say, yeah,
Correct.
The full
Pamela?
board meeting.
yes,
Exactly.
exact meeting, absolutely.
Exactly, and full.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Pam and the Marty. Go ahead, Pam.
I just want to say that I think it is especially appropriate that this letter comes from this committee, because this committee is the legacy holder for the Landmarks Committee of CB4, which was dissolved and was folded into this committee, so yes, it was. All of the members from the Landmarks Committee became members of the Chelsea Land Use Committee when Christine folded the Landmarks Committee. Remember
No,
that?
but we have, sorry, but
It was just-
we tackle LPC issues in Hell's Kitchen land use as well.
Right, it got split into Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Did Hell's Kitchen have a Landmarks Committee? Ever?
No, it was the board-wide one. It was not a Chelsea Landmarks Committee. It was the board's.
It was the board's
landmarks.
landmark
And then when the landmark committee dissolved, members went to the two land use committees.
Okay,
That's
if you say
what my
so.
recollection.
Okay.
My recollection was everybody wound up
One
in
here.
this committee.
Okay.
No, like JD used to be on it, now he's with Hell's Kitchen.
All right. Proceed the meeting. Marty, go ahead.
There's a whole lot of procedural discussion that's going on, but I think there's something that we agree on and might be able to pass along. We can't talk about the particulars of the letter because we haven't read it carefully enough, but I think we agree that the double direction of preservation and affordable housing is something that we have been working on, and the minutia of the letter needs to be worked out, but that's a statement I think we can make.
Okay. Message received, Marty. Any other thoughts, comments, or reflections? Okay, once again, the deadline is Friday for commentary. Submit to me, Paul, Rachel. I'll send an email out as a reminder on that today, along with the contact information from our earlier guest as well, and we'll go from there, okay? I thank you for the reflection, the insight, the thought. I love this group. Item number 4 was the chair summary of previous meetings. I put that in the brief notes for you for this meeting, so I don't think I have anything to add there. unless you want to weigh in, but I see Carrie's hand is up. Carrie?
Greg, thanks. I thank you for the email. I just want to know, how would you like us to respond? Would you like us to respond to you directly to say, this is the issue that I would like to, follow up
Yeah,
on,
let's-
be a part of? Like, how do you want us to respond to?
Yeah,
this?
when I put the tracker together and circulate it, at that point I'll say, let me know where you want to fit it. Does that make sense? Beautiful. Any new business?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes and yes. Okay, double yeses.
She may want to go, Pamela may want to go first. This will take a while. This is the brown,
All right, let's,
I'll be brief.
okay.
Just to report to this group and to the board, I guess, that a woman who was very influential on community board for many years and was its chair for some period of time has died as of Sunday, this past Sunday, Hilda Reger. I don't know how many people in this room know her or of her, but she was indeed very influential. She was not only chair of CB4, she was the president of the Victorian Society for many, many, many years, and a wonderful Chelsea neighbor of mine, and a homeowner on 22nd Street. So I just wanted to, I think, Marty, you will remember her. Hilda.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the name.
Oh, my dear, when you were on the board, was Hilda Reger on the board with you?
I don't think so.
No,
I think
oh
that's
my
after me,
gosh.
before me.
I remember Helmut.
You remember, of course you do, for many reasons, but long after her service on the board.
Well, we thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
and we are very sorry for the loss.
I would like for JD to get that message too,
They can know.
and Joe. All the old timers.
No one wanted to say that. No one was even thinking that. Josephine, the floor is yours.
You want me to
All
start?
three of us.
I'm happy to, I'm happy to come. But you could start.
Yes, so over the Christmas holiday, CB4 became a repository for an application by Related to do a brownfield.
Wait, hold on one
Yes,
second, one second.
yes.
Would you be willing to slide over this way so she can hear you?
Oh,
Speak up. I just wanna make sure that
Did you hear the first part? I'm so sorry, okay.
I can see you pantomiming, I can't hear. Go ahead.
So over Christmas break,
Better?
CB4 became a repository for an application by Related to do a brownfield cleanup of certain areas on both campuses, on Chelsea Elliott as well as Fulton Houses.
I'm well aware of this.
Right, so we were never contacted directly by the developer. We found out about it because, like Muhlenberg, we became a host for these documents. Okay, that's how we found out about it.
I found it.
Okay,
Actually, and
okay,
reported
right.
it.
They were to Jesse, that's all I know.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So what's happened now is that we have a deadline by the end of next week to respond, to give public comments to these thousands of pages of documents on contaminated soil.
Sure.
Right, so we have had in Chelsea, there's been on that location, there's been a vinegar factory, a laundromat, I don't know if it was a dry cleaner. Fulton Houses, I believe there was a gas station, all kinds of things, right? This is not unusual in New York City, but there's a process that has to happen.
Okay.
So, we had asked, pretty much on behalf of the school, Related, if they would come and give us a presentation on the remedial work that is going to happen. And they have denied that request. So, the question now is, how do we move forward? It is going to be very difficult for us to respond to something when we have not had a presentation. So now I'll give us an example that happened at 250 Water Street in South Street Seaport. They also had a very large development. Howard Hughes was coming in to develop a parking lot next to Peck Slip School, or actually across the street from Peck Slip, and a daycare there. So the end result, everything was fine. But there is a process that has to happen, right? They have to come, they went to community board one, the developers, with their engineer, which by the way is the same engineer that Related is using. They've been in the business a long time, seem to be very trustworthy people. But they did give a presentation to community board one, and community board one was able to come up with 2 resolutions saying what they needed in order to keep their community safe. And so this is something that we are being denied at this point because we are not being presented with this draft work that needs to happen. They are not going to meet with the school, and they are not going to meet with us. So the question really is what do we do? How do we respond? And that's what I'm asking this group.
Thoughts and reactions?
I'm sorry, no, you wanna go?
No, you go ahead.
I do have an inquiry. Is it actually related or is it NYCHA not cooperating with the information? Because.
Well, the application is related and we have not reached out to NYCHA. But you know, they don't respond anyway, so
Right, because you know, I mean, I'm not.
Wait.
I'm not defending Related in any way, but you know, NYCHA is the one that really calls the shots out on this. Even though Related is the developer, they can't do anything without NYCHA's approval.
right,
So-
but Related's name, their name is on the application
Right.
to DEC.
Mhm.
Right, that's the state agency that's handling the brownfield cleanup, so
Mhm.
we had to contact them.
Right.
And that was their answer. They will take questions and by email or whatever and respond to us, but they will not come and give us a presentation.
And to your point, that someone has been identified as a point of contact with the NYCHA for the community board to use or to be in contact with.
And it's been like that.
And it's been like that.
forever, Getting any information or cooperation from them.
Exactly.
So I'm just saying,
And
you know,
just,
it may
yeah.
not be related
Yeah,
directly,
no,
but
I get you.
I don't know 100% for sure.
I just wanted to.
Saying is that that NYCHA could have said to Related, don't meet with them, is that what you're saying?
Possible. Without confirmation.
Or like I said, me.
Which,
Or
experience tells me it's very possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would, oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
I was
Let's hear
just
you.
gonna say, like, in experience now over, the past few years, the only way we have gotten Related to come to the table is through our elected officials.
Right, and Carrie, I'm so glad you brought that up. So our formal council person, Eric Botcher, had been having meetings with the S33 and the developers, getting everybody to the table. So now we're in this black hole, right? We don't have any representation anymore. And so I asked our chair, Leslie, to reach out to the electeds that we do have. And she did reach out to them yesterday, and I don't know if anyone has responded yet. So that's where we are.
I mean, I guess in lieu of Eric, we should reach out to Carl. We should reach out to,
We can't reach out to Carl anymore because he's no longer.
okay, we should
Wait,
reach
time
out
out, time
because
out.
he's
One at
a
a time.
candidate, yeah. So we should, I guess,
Carl's
reach out to
not-
Brad.
Carl's not- Who else? Sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
I don't know, the only one I can think of who's in a spot is Brad.
No, there's.
Well, there's another spot, because he's borough president now, so he's in a spot.
Yeah, he's in a spot, that's what I mean, yeah. He's in a spot, an actual
He
position.
has an answer.
In the absence of a city council member, all constituent services go to the speaker of the city council.
Yeah.
We should call Julie Menon and send a
Yes.
letter to Julie Menon. That's the
Perfect.
answer.
Great.
Concur.
I'm sorry, we had talked about that, actually. Yes, go ahead. Yes, sorry. Go ahead, Kate.
So, sorry, this
NYCHA.
whole thing is new to me. I don't quite understand. Are you saying, it sounds like you're saying that there's something that's due from us by the end of next week.
Yes,
Are we, like, is it a,
yes.
yeah, I don't quite understand what it is that's
Remember
due.
the DEIS that had come out,
Yeah.
and we had time to respond, there's a public commenting period. So
Okay.
it's the same with this application.
The
There's
public.
a public commenting period. Jesse has already
Oh.
extended it once because the papers went out over Christmas break and the commenting period was at the end of January. So
Oh, I
he's
see.
already got an extension.
Okay.
So
A month.
the point is that we could send the speaker a letter, but how long is this going to, we're not, we
Okay.
need to move a
Yeah,
little
I know
more,
where-
yes.
I know how to get to the speaker.
So-
I don't know, that, I want, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Katie, finish.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to craft a response from CB4 as part of the public comment period. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes,
And
because once this application is approved by DEC, we can't go back. There's very little chance for us to go back and say, well, we're actually concerned something may happen. So we do have the school that's on site, pre-K to 5th grade. There's also a District 75 school that is part of that building, which serves kids with very special needs, very I have had to reach out to the Pexlip school to talk to parents there to find out what happened with their brownfield cleanup and what they were instructed to do. And they've said that, you know, this is very dangerous for pregnant women. This is very dangerous for very young bodies. Those are the two very vulnerable groups. So it is very concerning that the developer will not come and at least present to the school, if nothing else.
so I guess I'm wondering, so in our response, if we're not getting a presentation or any reassuring facts presented to us, can our response be, we have significant concerns about this because we know that there are tremendous risks to young bodies and pregnant women and all sorts of, right? And I mean, I guess my thought is like, well, since they don't want to give us any reassuring facts, then why can't our response be, you know, we have huge concerns. We've reached out to try and get some facts to see if any of our concerns can be addressed. They're not willing to meet with us. The mere fact that they're not willing to meet with us should indicate that they're not prepared to, you know, deal with this in a way that's responsive to community concerns. And we think that you should, I don't know what it is, deny, make it go longer. Whatever we want to have happen, I think should be the answer, right?
My only friendly amendment to that statement would be, it's even worse from the perspective that you actually don't even know what you're commenting on. And that's the scariest part. But go ahead, Veer.
That's exactly what I was about to
But
say.
yes, yes.
It's not in MIPA files, it's not in FEIS. This is not documented. There's no public record. If you look for it, it doesn't exist. So how is that possible? So basically, you need to write to the related directly. Where is this in the process of how these things get done? You're just doing something. Something has happened, you all know about.
Meaning a record of what?
Record of the contamination.
The contaminant, okay.
Soil contamination is actually a deeply disturbing phenomenon.
Well, we do have, we're holding the papers, we do have them.
Which, it's not in MIPA files. It hasn't been submitted in FEIS. They gave us draft.
Oh, yeah, not to that, but you have seen
Oh, I see.
documents, I mean, they're there, okay, all right.
I don't, explain.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. So yeah, let's clarify this because your comment, Viren, was when you said the content that we're looking for is not accessible or not available.
Content that should have been made part of official process, which goes to MIPA and FEIS, which is the final EIS, does not contain any information about soil contamination. How did they manage to do that? I don't know.
So
We have a document we can comment. But in absence of whatever is happening up there, I think the concern is even bigger because basically MIPA and HUD don't know.
It wasn't included in the FEIS, and so that, okay, gotcha.
And it is
There
required-
was some soil contamination notations, but not 1,000 pages.
Not 1,000 pages.
No.
It was 444 pages of technical stuff that I don't know that there's anybody on the board, even the illustrious architects. I don't know there's anybody on the board that can read that technical stuff and understand it. So the only way we can respond is in a general way of some sort. Reading the document and trying to understand it, I think, is way beyond us.
Mike Noble, your hand is up. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I wonder how many people saw the webinar that Layla, of all people, hosted on this topic. If you haven't, Have you? Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna repeat what you said, Mike, because some folks didn't hear you. There was a presentation was done, it's online, right? By Layla, who was at our last, who presented public testimony at our last convening. So there's a webinar specifically about the analysis, and I believe Layla had invited some guests to speak about what was contained in the report or whatever the content that has been shared.
No, it turned out to be real helpful, I must tell you.
Yeah.
And it's available. That, if you haven't seen it, I can send you a link to the presentation because the Zoom meeting was preserved. So I have that. So I mean, that's where, yeah, that's where you can see, I mean, if you really want to get into it and have it examined thoroughly by an expert, this guy was just tremendous, I must say.
Thanks, Mike.
I will
Perfect.
say that members of the school were on that call and don't feel satisfied. So the scientist is basically saying that all of the soil in Manhattan is contaminated, which is kind of true, right? It's a very old city, things have been done, it's what it is, but there are certain areas where it's a lot more contaminated than others, that's the issue.
And I think it's, if I could just add, the conversation we had with Pete, with the school,
Yes,
you had helped to facilitate a guest from the school that
Yes.
had sort of explored this
right,
downtown. They had gone through the process of getting someone who was an expert to help.
an
Sort of
engineer,
an outside engineer to help, and I think that, and even with the outside engineer, it's still not necessarily crystal clear. There are different interpretations of what we're talking about when we talk about concerns.
yeah, we haven't met with that outside engineer, we're trying to convene a small meeting, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get to in a minute. But the fact that we have to go through all of this, they got their outside engineer, but Gail Brewer was borough president at the time.
Yeah.
And she had pushed the developer into setting aside a pot of money, $50,000, to hire the school an outside engineer, which I'm glad that happened before, because that's something that we can look into again. But you know, that's not really helping us right now.
Well,
Yeah, I think that the problem from what I'm saying is that we have a week. And we've already asked for one delay in the commentary period, but we didn't do anything in that month that we had that delay. And so I think we need to ask for more time is really the issue, right? So I think that we need to say to our elected officials, because the city officials really matter in control is the voice of a NYCHA. Eric as state senator and Tony as assemblyman have say over DEC. Jerry Nadler has say over congressional funding. Like, we should be asking them once again to step in and say, this process is going far too quickly. You're not having community input. And there's a deadline that we do today that we can't possibly meet. And these environmental concerns, and if the engineers are saying it can be remediated, but we need to understand what the remediations are and understand how those will impact us. Maybe the school chancellor needs to get involved in this to be like, this is one of our schools that's gonna be negatively impacted. But I think the real crux is we need to somehow figure a way to demand a continuance.
Right.
So that we have time, when we get that continuance, we have to act on it, right, like that. We had a continuance, we didn't do anything. That's what you said, right? They came in December, we got the delay till now, but now it's here in front of us a week before the comment period and we don't have the time to comment. So we should ask for a 90-day continuance and just put a lot of pressure to get a continuance.
happy to do that outreach to the people, no, go ahead. And then we'll go to Marty on.
I share people's concern concerning the school, that's paramount, so, you know, when it comes to the health of the kids, so. But my question is the same amount of attention and alarms gonna be paid toward like the reconstruction of St. Columba, or the reconstruction that was done on 26th Street, where the ground was disturbed, and also even the proposed building on 18th Street, between 18th and 17th Street, that's gonna take the place of the Star Diner and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, those are huge lots.
Oh, you know, I understand.
Yeah.
The only reason this was brought up because the applicant put in an application with a state agency for something that's called a brownfield cleanup. It's very specific. So
Right.
when they've been testing the soil since back in 2022. You go back in those reports, a lot of testing has been going on. When they get to a certain level of testing where the soil is very dangerous, they have to apply for this special kind of remediation work.
Okay.
So it's not happening, it's
So-
other
So
locations.
the other
that's-
locations, unless they have that, that's not triggered by that brown.
Right,
field.
right, not triggered,
Gotcha.
wasn't triggered, so, but I think they test the soil everywhere where they're going to build and dig something up. So the soil right now,
I hope
if
so.
it's not disturbed, is fine, right? The problem is once you start to excavate it, the soil vapors come out, and that's what the issue is. So like at Peck Slip School, what the engineer had recommended that during certain times of excavation, they do that during the summer months or when school's on break to keep people safe, because everybody's walking around, right? We also have avenues, it's on the other side of the street, so it's actually surrounded by schools. So it's those kinds of answers that we need in a presentation to say, hey, this is what might help, and we're not being able to do that, so.
Let me go to Marty online. Marty?
I think you're starting to get at what's really a problem that goes way beyond this specific site. I don't think we have enough knowledge about disturbed soils and about brownfields. I know that the building that was built on 17th Street, west of the High Line, it's a double tower and it goes between the High Line and the river, was built on a brownfield. And none of that came to us if I remember correctly. So the question is, what is our knowledge about brownfields and how they're dealt with? What kind of regulations are in place? As somebody said before, we know that there are a lot of contaminated soils in our district. We know that manufactured gas plants were built up and down the west side of Manhattan, so there clearly are other brownfields. This is a problem that's much bigger than just this site.
Thank you, Marty. Kate?
I think we should tie it to the fact, or one thing we should do in this letter is that we should tie it to the fact that they refuse to come speak to the school, right? And we should tie the fact that one reason we're asking for an extension is because we think that, that they should be obligated whenever there's a school within a certain, block or two, whatever it is, of a brownfield, that they have to come in and present to the school. And that then the school and the community around it needs to have 45 days, 90 days, whatever it is, but it's not just us, like, oh, damn, sorry, a month wasn't long enough, we need more time. It's about the fact that, hey, we asked, and they were like, yeah, sorry, we won't bother, we need to put repercussions in place when somebody is not being helpful, right? And the other thing is, I think it's great to ask for an extension, but I think it almost has to be, we also have to get language in the letter that says we have significant concerns that have not been addressed. So in case we don't get the extension, then it basically has to be, a no from us, right?
I would just pause to say, some of what you're asking for doesn't require a letter, I don't think, in terms of just asking for more time, but I just want to say, I understand what you're saying in terms of the communication about the response, but I would just suggest at this point, there are specific mechanisms we could use to try to push the clock.
I see what you're saying.
That's all I'm trying to get, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think we have time for a letter.
Yeah.
We'll just push
For commentary,
Yeah.
we can't do anything in a week.
Yeah.
One of the that did make me think of a question, Justine, is there something within the brownfields review process itself at DEC that they have to give public notice, or they have to did they miss a technical step that perhaps we can use that as leverage to say?
Good question.
If you're designated a brownfield site, you have to notify any school within 500 feet or any.
Oh, well, I don't know if that's in there, but.
But if there is some sort of notification
Right,
process
there's
that
no
they
notification,
violated.
the notification process was sending it to the community board and Muhlenberg Library, because those are public places. But there was and it happened over break, so Jesse wasn't even there, or wasn't aware, so that was another part of the delay. But no, the same thing happened in community board one. They found out about it through somebody else, word of mouth, basically. There was no process. But that's another thing we can ask for, but it doesn't really, it's not gonna help us now, you know, like.
No, it's just,
Sorry, it's a technical issue.
Yes.
if there was a notification that they didn't do, it would
Yeah,
be
it's
easier to say to somebody, you didn't do this, you have to stop, and then we
Yeah.
get the
Oh,
dollar.
sorry, and I did have one last thing for you. You
Hold on,
said
hold on,
that
okay,
community-
let's make it some other people.
Yeah.
Vera, go ahead.
You know, it's very quickly, I mean, it's very surprising that we're coming to know about this community now. Practically every major development is actually built on brownfield.
Yes.
And every single site was actually taken away as public because nobody else wanted to go there. Majority of them happened in waterfronts because that's where contamination was. So the Niger folks have lived there forever. And it's been capped and whatnot. So obviously we expected it to be a brownfield, number one. Number two, there is a process. It's a city-owned land, it's public land, federally owned land. Whichever way, it is publicly owned land, which means you're required to go through the process of declaring, announcing, and letting the community know. Especially when there are schools and hospitals around, you have to absolutely let them know. The part that I don't personally understand, there is a process. In New York City, if I have a site and there's contamination, I have to go to the city and get approved before I take anything. I don't know what exactly has.
Yeah, we don't know what, if they violated the process.
There might be some mechanism in place which allows them to not do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
So, DEC, there is a way to sign up, to receive, monthly or weekly. I get them weekly reports. That's where I first came across this. Was they filed, for a brownfield site at, on 19th Street, in the 400 block, and I realized that was a NYCHA building. So I made that public, but anyone can sign up to receive these reports, weekly reports. I read them every week, and if it's something in the neighborhood, I make some noise about it.
Thank you. Carrie, and then Katie.
Sorry, you'll have to help me with the timing here, but I actually think we do need a letter. I think we need a letter to Related, ceasing all the currently, sitting elected officials, stating that Related is not working with the community once again. And I guess, I don't know if exec is enough time for that. But I also think we should send a letter to DEC stating that in lieu of not having more time to review this and not having the app, like the developer come speak to the community about this and this, or the school or the library, that we need to, I don't know, say that we're strongly opposed to them moving forward until they do so and explain this. I just think we keep letting them get away with it, and we can't do it anymore. Like even if it's too late, we need to be on the record for saying these things, for having these positions. There will be a
Here's my only
ULURP
thought.
eventually, and this stuff will all matter.
I guess my only thought on that, Carrie, was the second letter, I just don't know, I'm not sure what prevents us from communicating the need, your second letter, I'm not sure. We could do we need a letter for that purpose?
Well, you tell me, because this is the first I'm hearing of this, so I don't really know what the process is with DEC. Are they gonna say no problem and do a waiver or something? Or I don't really, I have no idea.
Because Jesse communicated this the first time around, right? Yeah. Well, how did we get the first month delay?
Oh, yeah, I mean, Jesse called basically, he put in a request, right?
Yeah, I think it's just a request from the office itself. I don't think we need a letter for that purpose. In other words, I'm just trying to, the specific idea of saying we need to push this deadline back is.
So it's a deadline to have a hearing from Related, to have a hearing with DEC, is that the idea? Like, I really literally have no idea.
I was just suggesting that we can communicate to the office and the elected officials that we think this date should be pushed back. I don't think we need a letter for that. In other words, I don't think we need to, I don't see why we would have to get a letter to ask the elected officials to to try to get this date pushed back.
But that's DEC, right?
Not related is a different story.
sorry,
That's a
that,
different thing.
They need to understand why we need this extra extension, right? Because that's not really the reason they gave us the first one was because the documents came in over the break and
Yeah.
he was not there,
but
like. no-
DEC was the one who gave us the extension, right? Josephine?
Oh, yes, I believe so,
Okay.
yes.
So I
Yes.
think what Greg is saying is that's a phone call?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
if you go on the web, I mean.
Yeah.
I
we
hear
know who
you.
the-
I hear you. I get that. Okay, I agree. And we need a letter to our elected officials and related that says, once again, you did not show up. You did not tell the truth. There was no transparency, and here we are in the same position that we've been in for how many, excuse me, years, where we're having the same problems, under the gun, trying to figure this stuff out on the fly. And it's unacceptable.
I second the motion.
Okay, any discussion on the motion?
No, I think we should have like.
Okay, let's do the vote on the letter, Carrie's letter, which, Carrie, you just want to restate the letter
For the motion?
on the motion, sorry. I'm gonna
Does that
restate the
mean
motion.
I have to write the letter?
We're not there yet, Carrie, we're not there yet.
Okay.
So you just go on to your-
The motion
Carrie,
is
it has
to write,
pass you.
to write a letter to related and CC all of the elected officials, including the Attorney General, that, once again, we have requested information for the community regarding the NYCHA redevelopment project, where related will not come to the table and give us any information. This is specifically about the brownfield, and we are very concerned about PS 33 and Muhlenberg and the community at large. And we need your help to get them to come and talk to us, because that is what we have had to do over and over and over again.
All right, we have a second. Let's do the vote. All those in favor? Hands up online. Mike goes, okay, thank you. Okay, put your hands down, please. Anyone opposed? Opposition? Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Any P&Es? Got it. Passes. Thank you very much.
It just is that new venture working group doing anything.
We have our first meeting in next month, so. Yeah, oh,
After all,
yes,
that's-
yeah, right. Yeah, we're getting started, we're starting.
Can I just, so,
And Carrie, yes, if you want to do that draft of that letter, feel free. Go ahead.
To do it, Carrie.
There you go. Tag team. Sorry, Katie, go ahead.
two questions. One, so we're gonna make these phone calls and request an extension. If we don't get an extension, are we in agreement that comment will be given by the due date saying, we think this is terrible and they didn't show up and we have a lot of concern?
Right.
And who would be doing that, I guess is one question. Okay. And then my second question is, you mentioned earlier that CB1 did have a meeting with the engineer or something, and then they were able to come up with 2 resolutions that were helpful. Do we have those resolutions?
Absolutely, I'll send them to you.
Yeah.
They're linked on their website. There was a small group of us but I will send them to you. But they went into very detailed information. And once I read that, I said, there's no way we're gonna be able to do this ever. Like, this is just not gonna work.
So wasn't,
Wait, there are people with, hold on.
It's okay.
Actors are your hand up in Brian's.
Yeah, I just wanted to explain about the abstention, basically because I am concerned about the kids and the schools, but we need more information about the soil samples and everything else concerning that, because it is brownfield, that's the first time I've heard of it, so.
Right,
Want to get more information, then we can.
Of course.
More educated.
Thank you.
Both.
We'll go Brian then.
I just dumped all the documents into Notebook LM. The first document is from 2022.
yes.
Yeah,
that's
you-
what I'm saying,
yes.
yes,
Like,
right.
it is a shocker
Right.
that this is a surprise to elected officials. I mean,
Well,
this was, before this even started, it was very clear that the soil had massive amounts of contamination.
Right, well, which is why it's so surprising that in the final report, we did not see. I mean,
Yeah.
Carrie said that there was some mention in there about contaminated soil, but not nearly in depth as what's here. But those documents are just now being made publicly available, so I really don't know who knew what. It's hard to say. I mean, they knew, the developers knew, NYCHA probably knew. I mean, as you say, that all the different lands develop on contaminated soil anyway, so. Yeah.
And shout out to Notebook LM for jumping in on that. Thank you very much. Go ahead. We'll Google action. Go ahead,
I
Tim.
just wanted to, I think I'm right about this. Wasn't Julie Menon chair of CB1 at the time? This.
She was chair. I don't know if it was that. She was chair. I wonder if it was that time.
I
period.
think
That
it-
time
I
period?
think it-
She was chair. I don't know.
So she obviously would have her ears wide open and interested in this.
Thank you for that.
And knowledge.
Yeah, right, right.
Good thought.
I
Good thought.
It's worth reaching out to her for Leslie or whomever is appropriate to reach out to her immediately. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. Full strat. So it's a good idea that the message was the good idea to reach out to her. And I was saying to Josephine, we can talk about how we get in touch. Sorry about that.
Thank you very much.
Any other new business?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed, extensions.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very
Good
much.
night.
You are a phenomenal group. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Terrible brown fields out.